And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another season, another edition of the OSC 2025 Mid-Season Playoffs number 1, day 3. I'm of course your ZvP. With you, I'm joined by these amazing players, by the people in the chat, and by my plushies as well. Welcome, one and all, to the new season of OSC. We're already halfway through this season here, halfway through the year. Welcome to almost the world finals of online tournaments. For those that maybe haven't tuned into an OSC mid-season playoffs or season playoffs before, OSC are a big they're a big tournament organizer. They do host a lot of events like OSC King of the Hill, like OSC Rising Stars, and they also do partner with a bunch of online tournaments, our own tournaments including Tenacious Total Tussle, Sparkling Tunic Cup, tournaments like the WTV Monday, KSL, the Korean StarCraft League, and many others. So they do actually, I don't think they've partnered with KSL, but with most online tournaments they do partner in some way, shape, or form and provide OSC points. Pigs for Monday is another example as well, where they provide OSC points. Players, they accumulate these points throughout the entire year, and then they are seeded and invited into these big online tournaments, these big massive brackets here. And we're 3 days into the mid-season playoffs. Now, we didn't cast day 1 and day 2. I believe that was covered by Chicken Man and Dave Testa respectively. Typically the way this works with OSC, because you know it's kind of like the big online tournament, is that they do reach out and they do have multiple community casters cover the event, referring to Chicken Man, Dave Testa, ourselves, Wardy, Steadfast, for example, and we typically rotate between ourselves with which day is going to be covered by whom until eventually the end of the tournament, the end of OSC. Oh boy, here we go. Now, when it comes to how big this event is, 38 players in a massive double elimination bracket. It's huge, it's massive, it's quite daunting as well, and it takes quite a long time to get through. A lot of matches are going to be played, a lot of matches here tonight, and we'll get to our matches in a moment. Until then, though, we will quickly head on over to the bracket itself. Bam, here we go. We have a Wikipedia page, exclamation mark, be in the chat if you want to have a look at the bracket yourselves. Again, we have 38 players. It looks like day 1 and day 2 were covered by Dave Testa, and again, we're covering day 3. But again, other casters like Chicken Man, Steadfast, alongside Wardy, and many others are also going to be getting involved. And again, here we have our 38 players, a very stacked bracket to take place in this season's tournament. Scrolling down, we have already progressed quite a bit here towards the upper brackets, and some of these matches we're going to be covering. Otherwise, some of the round of 32 matches we're going to be covering as well, covering Chan versus Cristiano later on down the line. Beyond versus Art, Skilless versus Geralt, and many others. And again, as you can see here, double elimination. The entire bracket is double elimination. That is why this event takes so long to get through, and why so many casters get involved, because there's just so many matches to indulge in. Here tonight, we're going to be covering 8 matches, 8 best of 3s, back to back. SLR best of 3s. So we're going to be covering 4, then we'll take a break, and then the remaining 4 thereafter. So do check out the bracket if you are curious. Meanwhile, we have our matches here ready for you. Our first 4: Solo versus PAPI. The ZvP is Night Phoenix versus Jomek in a PvP. We have Spirit versus the winner of Night Phoenix and Jomek, and we have Mana versus Sebastis. These are our first 4 sets of best of 3s, and then we'll be going on a break. Then we'll be covering the other half of the broadcast. The other half will be including, actually, got you covered. The other half is going to be including another set of players, as we do. There we go, as we do switch over. Shin versus Eric Fire in a ZvP. We have Bunny versus Art in a TVP. Chan versus Cristiano, and Skilless versus Geralt. So 8 best of 3s in total, back to back. Again, we'll be taking a small break in between just to break some things up, to get to refresh our waters, to get hydrated, and to get ready for the next half of the broadcast. Of course, this is our first of 3 broadcasts tonight. And typically here on the CranKy Ducklings, weekends are very busy for us. So we have this event, we have OC, we then have the RSL, and we also have the Anonymous Cup thereafter. So 3 events back to back. Likewise, similarly tomorrow as well, 3 more tournaments. What I should say as well before we jump into this is that the KSL, the Korean StarCraft League, we usually do cover this live on a regular basis here, and that is slotted to begin in around 3 hours time. Unfortunately, we are going to be busy covering this at the time. This will eventually overlap with KSL, which is unfortunate. We just didn't really have any other free day to cover this event, just because we were casting. Again, we cast on a daily basis, on a regular basis here. So unfortunately, it is going to be overlapping. We are going to be covering KSL via replays next week. So to catch up on KSL that we missed this week because we won't be able to cast it, we're catching up next week instead. That is the plan. For now though, we're jumping into our first matchup. We're jumping into Solar versus PAPI. Let's go. Game 1 going to be on Pylon. Let us go. As spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Pylon, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Team Falcons. It is Solar. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have the red Protoss player, the red Protoss from Atlanta, Poland. It is PAPI. Hey PAPI. And if you're in the chat, you know what time it is. It is Gamba time. Predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck in the chat as we do get our Gamba going. Let's go. Let us go. So best of luck with your predictions. Coming into this, Solar is going to be the heavy favorite, but we have seen PAPI pop off in the past. What I will say is that PAPI, in my eyes, hasn't really been too active. Again, there was a time where he was playing in almost everything. That was back when he was on Berserker Esports, but nowadays has been a little bit less active instead. So we'll see how he's able to compete and compare to Solar. Let's go. See someone asking in the chat, replays? Yes, all of the OSC broadcasts, the OSC mid-season playoffs, I should say, because there are so many matches happening, typically the players, they do organize amongst themselves, they play their matches, they submit their replays to the organizer of the tournament, and then replay packs are provided. So do expect replay casts. I mean, because of that, no one knows the results of the replays, obviously. We are bringing it to you for the first time here on the channel, and of course it is going to be updated on the bracket, updated on the Wikipedia thereafter, after we do cover set matches, of course. But do expect replay casts for the entirety of the OSC mid-season playoffs. I think sometimes they do the finals live, but even then, I think it's a rare thing. I think usually the entire event is going to be done by replays, just because there are so many players from different time zones, just to accommodate and just to make it a little bit cleaner when it comes to covering it, when it comes to casting it. So here we go. I think that really only influences, I think there are like there are some people out there that do like betting, like especially like illegal like Korean betting, and I think they aren't able to, I should say, like websites, they like void like events that are covered by replays. So I think those are the only people impacted, thankfully. That's also why it's usually a little bit suspicious when people bring that up. But here we go. We are going to be settling into our matchup. So far we do have our Stargate opener back at home, so Stargate opener at a PAPI. Likewise, Solar back at home going for his own hatch gas pool. Here we go. Oh, they was very replays. Yeah. Like all the OSC matches are very replays. Yeah, so far so good. Solar just opening up standard, droning up, saturating his bases. Likewise, back at home with our initial Stargate is going to be the Oracle first. Now, you can open up Void Ray here to try to deny vision, deny scouting, and try to shut down your opponent ahead of time. But here is going to be a standard Oracle opener, so nothing too crazy here out of PAPI. Historically, PAPI hasn't really been too much of an aggressive player, or too cheesy, I should emphasize, but we have seen him embrace going for like Archon drop based play in the follow-up, going into Charger Archon as well, to be a little bit more assertive in the mid game. That is something that we'll be keeping our eye open for. Otherwise, so far we're just kind of playing a standard game. Otherwise, so far everything is looking as it should. Third base is going to be on the way. Lings, they do slip in, and Solar, he will, I was gonna say he's gonna get a full scout, and he will. Yeah, it does slip in. Heads for the mid line, is looking for a probe kill, and he will get one probe goes down, gets into the main base, and does get a full scout of the main, and confirms the Stargate, and the Oracles are on the way. Speaking of, Oracle does hit the main, getting 2 drone kills, not bad. Oh, gets 2 workers, does pull away, takes a lot of hull damage, but does back up. Say the second Oracle has arrived, and from here these are acceptable losses so far. Like Solar only losing 2 workers, back at home still droning, still saturating. Second spore is done at the natural queens. They rotate over towards the third base, and right now we're just waiting for the tech of PAPI as Lings. Oh, they do get on top of the third. They're going for the pylon. It's going to be close. The warp in is barely going to finish in time. The oracles do arrive and they save the pylon. Whew. Okay. Happy to save it. Meanwhile, this is the follow-up. Interesting. It is going to be a robo follow-up here out of PAPI. Now, if you remember, we did just mention how PAPI, he's not one to shy away from going into an Archon drop opener into the mid-game, into Charge or Archon. This is the first sign of that. Assuming we go robo into a Twilight Council, we can make the War Prism that can be lined up with the Temple Archives and head into Archon-based play. And there it is, yeah, Twilight Council. So this does look like an Archon-based follow-up. Meanwhile, all in. Overlord speed is on the way, Lings are amassing, Roach production is underway as well with that Roach Warren, and typically you don't invest into Overlord speed unless you plan on going into Dropper Lords. So the lair is lined up with Overlord speed, and Solar, he should be getting ready to push out, to commit to an all-in. There we go, 9 Roaches on the way. We didn't even get to talk about the map, but welcome to Pylon. Pylon is known for all-ins. Pylon has a very direct and very short rush distance by ground, so all-ins like this are a lot more popular, specifically on this map on Pylon. As Oracle is going to be sent away, we spec out Archons. There it is, Temple Archives. So again, when you go for a robo into a Twilight Council, that screams Archons and charge lots, and unfortunately it's going to take a while for that to really kick in. Remember, we're defending with slow lots right now, and that gets scouted, and here comes the all-in. Solar, he sends everything through the center of the map. He does catch out the Oracles. Oh my god, does force them back. Solar, he's on the way. And again, the Archons aren't ready, the Temple Archives isn't ready, the Lings, they flood in, no, the Lings, they do flood into the main. The wall was open, and the army has arrived. Bold move, dropping the Queens on top of the Immortals here, but clutch transfuse. Grief is being spread, the Queens, they maintain themselves, Lings, they get into the main. Oracles, they will defend, but Probes are going down, and the main army is looking to break down that third. Yeah, PAPI falling back, shield batteries are finishing. He's got 2 Immortals so far. Did I say 2? About to have 1. The Biles, oh no! Oh, they do connect. And GG gets called. Solar, he breaks PAPI, breaks him, does blow off the all-in, and Solar takes a 1-0 lead. Whew. GG. GG, well played. Again, PAPI, he was gearing up towards the mid game, and as you saw, there is a window in time where you are vulnerable if you are going for an Archon drop opener. Going for the initial robo, going into the delayed Twilight Council means later blink or later upgrades, later forge as well. You do get earlier Immortal production, but as you saw, the Immortals didn't really have much support. They had slow lots to support themselves. Alas, in that moment, PAPI was vulnerable and Solar committed to the all-in. The map also helped as well. As we mentioned, Pylon is known for these more 2-3 base all-ins as well. And we'll see if PAPI can recover as we're getting into game number 2. Game 2 is going to be on, we go from one of the rush maps into one of the more macro large maps. We're going to be loading into Maganatha, and you don't get bigger than Maganatha. Let's go. As spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Maganatha, we have our South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Team Falcons. It is Solar. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have the red Protoss player from Lena, Poland. Down in the series, a little bounce back and force the ace match. It is PAPI. Let's go, PAPI. Let's go. It's beautiful. Just catching up. I'm from Mexico, but I like your stream. Oh, gracias, PAPI. Gracias. Glad to hear. Glad to hear. Who is PAPI? PAPI's a Polish Protoss. Polish Protoss. He's been around for a long time. I want to say he debuted back in like 2021-ish era of StarCraft. Like, in a way, you could argue he's relatively new in the sense he's been around for like 5 years. Like, COVID era of StarCraft is when he popped up on my radar. I keep forgetting to ask him, but I don't know why specifically he's called PAPI, since PAPI is more of like a Latin American, if not even like Italian phrase. Maybe French? I don't know French, but I know in Italy they use that word as well. Yeah, I don't know as to the reasoning as to why I did choose that nickname, but it's not from Latin America. Just to be clear, Polish Protoss. Here we go. Haven't seen him play before. Yeah, he's been around for a while. Again, I feel like we like his kind of rise to fame, as I mentioned before, was when he was on Berserker. This would have been like 2023, 2022. I remember PAPI doing quite well for himself when it comes to the Polish weekly tournaments, when it comes to the House Open Cups, and also the House Galactic Battle. We would often feature PAPI in these offline Polish events and even online Polish events. And yeah, it was definitely up there. I would say that PAPI typically is, I would say, below players like Cristiano and Geralt, but just below them. I think I'd rate him maybe below Art, the Polish Art, when it comes to the hierarchy. I mean, there's a lot of Polish Protosses, but I would place PAPI like above Ziomek, above Rodzin, for example. Yeah, in the middle of the pack amongst the Polish Protosses. Place him in the middle. So in my mind, he debuted around 2020. I'm just checking his Wikipedia. He debuted around 2018, so just before that, but around that era, of StarCraft. So around 7 years. But here we go. Also, welcome one and all to Magnath. As you mentioned, this is the largest map in the map pool, longest rush distance by ground. If PAPI did want to go into a longer game state, into the mid game, into the late game, then this is the map for it. I do favor PAPI more on this map. I would say that he has a greater chance at actually getting into a longer game and getting into his game as well. There's a lower chance that Solo can kill him early on, so we should be able to sink our teeth into Maganatha, and we'll see how Solo will adjust his approach. Unlike the last game, I don't expect fast overlord speed. Remember, the fast overlord speed was the tell that Solo was going for like a German taxi all in. Here though, we shouldn't be seeing it anywhere near as soon. For now, we're just droning. Up, we're saturating, building up our natural, heading into our third base. Back at home, it is going to be that Stargate opener once again. PAPI isn't deviating, and once again, like last time, we are waiting to see what is the follow-up tech. Is it going to be a Twilight Council or a Robo? If we see a Robo again, then it does scream Charge or Archon. Would be the case with that Robo. Yep, there it is. Same build. So we have the Robo. This is going to lead into a delayed Twilight Council and delayed Forge, into a Templar Archives, into a Warp Prism, into an Archon drop. That's typically how you play this out. The way that it works is that the Prism is lined up with the Templar Archives, in the sense that by the time the Prism gets around here across the map, Templar Archives is done, and then you can warp in High Templar to commit to your Archon drop. And then leads into Charge Archon, leads into, of course, a longer and later game. As here comes that Twilight Council. Robo's almost done. This build was very trendy amongst the Polish Protoss players, and it is done every now and then by the European Protosses. When I say European Protoss, I mean Showtime, Skillus, and MaxPax. They do mix this in every now and then. This is a build that is often avoided by the Korean Protosses. It's definitely a stylistic thing, but players like Hero, Classic, they do avoid this. They do avoid this build. They do prefer being more aggressive and active with Blink Stalkers over being aggressive and active with Drop Lords. Oh, sorry, with Archon drops. Twilight Council is done. With this, we have Charge on the way, but we should have been seeing a Templar Archives going for a very delayed Forge. So if you remember, I had assumed that we were going to go for a War Prism first, but that's going to be Immortal into a second Immortal. This time there is no Templar Archives. This time delayed Archons, no drop play. Now, the problem with this variation of this build, and we're still going to work towards Templar Archives eventually, but this means that there's no pressure. This means that there's nothing on the map really forcing out units or hunting down Overlords or denying creep. You have the Oracles, that is true, but only 2 Oracles, so there's a bit of a give and take here. On the one hand, PAPI is going to be able to build up an earlier and higher Immortal count, but is going to be allowing Solo to drone as a result. This, honestly, this feels like a response to last game, right? Last game, because PAPI was investing into a Templar Archives, into Archons, into a further tech, and there's that Templar Archives. Remember, last game this was a lot faster. This time it's late. This time it's much later, in favor of more Immortals, because it feels like he's afraid about an all-in. Like, this is a much safer variation from PAPI. The problem, though, is that because we're on a larger map, like, there is no all-in. Like, Solo's just chilling. He's just been droning, getting his 4th base, now taking into Ling Hydra. So this does feel like PAPI kind of got into his own head here, where he was terrified that it'd be the same build, that Solo would just all-in him again, when really, like, this game has nothing to do with the previous, in a sense, that Solo is taking a very different approach, and PAPI's kind of blindly playing safe, which sets him behind. As Temple Archives is now done, now building up his zealots. Now he can, so as we set up even more defensively here, we're setting up the station traps. Storm now begins, but again, this is late. Storm is later, Archons are later, Immortals are going to be high. I mean, the plus side of this kind of style, or this build that we're going for this time, is the higher Immortal count. It's very high. The Immortal count is very high, that's true. And Solar, he is pushing, to be fair. Like, Solar, he did run up to 79. That's still a solid drone count. He's up to almost 4 base saturation. And now he's settling in. Settling into the mid game with Ling, Bane, Hydra. Now he's not rushing into any further tech. He's staying on layer tech. He's not going into Hive. He's not going into Lurkers. Just pure Ling, Bane, Hydra. Baneling speed is almost done. And baits out the stasis traps. Storm. Contamination! Oh no, the contaminated. Without Storm, it's going to be a tough hold. Storm is not yet done. Bailings, they do roll in. And they at least surround the initial Immortal. Bailings, they crash into the mineral line. No big connections yet. And so far, PAPI is holding on. I say that one Immortal goes down. Bailings are headed towards the mineral lines. Even head towards the Zealots. And they will crash in, taking down another Immortal. Yeah. The second Immortal goes down. High Templar as well. Storm is still not yet complete. No, Storm, the contamination was brutal. Storm finally does finish, and finally we just annihilate the Hydras, but the damage has been done. GG gets called. Solar, he breaks the third base, and Solar will take the series 2-0. Whew. GG. GG, well played, Solar. He will claim the series. Again, PAPI, he was blindly building up and defending and being a little bit safer. I would say overly safe when it came to his build. The other downside, we didn't mention the upside of his build. The one benefit of being hyper safe there is that he had a really high Immortal count early on, but he wasn't playing against Roaches. Last game he was. Last game, remember, it was a Roach Ravager, kind of like German Taxi all-in with Ling Queen. Here, there were no Roaches. So Immortals have less value. They have less value here. What did we need more of? Splash damage. Archons, there was 0 Archons as well, and Storm. And Storm was delayed. I'm not even talking about the Contaminate. The Contaminate was brutal, but remember, we did emphasize how late the Templar Archives was because of the prioritization of Immortal production and the Gateway Explosion as well. So like, as we mentioned, like, it does feel like he got into his own head a little bit. He was, especially after game 1, after the all-in from Solar, that did kind of set the tone, and it's something that PAPI took seriously, and again, it feels like he maybe overreacted to in the end. And as a result, he himself delayed his own High Templar, he himself delayed his own Storm, which allowed Solar to come in to contaminate, delayed even further, and end the game as there was no Storm to defend. GG. GG, well played. With that, Solar, he will claim the series. He will advance on over PAPI. Now, I believe this was an upper bracket match, so PAPI, of course, he will have a chance to redeem himself and recover and bounce back. So he will have that chance. But for now, we are wrapping up our first matchup, and we're heading over to a PvP to feature another Polish Protoss against a Ukrainian Protoss. Gonna be Knife Phoenix versus Ziomek. Let's go. Have our next matchup. And we're jumping into game number 1. Oh, also before I forget,